أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها المزمل قم الليل إلا قليلا نصفه أو انقص منه قليلا أو زد عليه ورتل القرآن ترتيلا إنا سنلقي عليك قولا ثقيلا إن ناشئة الليل هي أشد وطئا وأقوم قيلا إن لك في النهار سبحا طويلا واذكر اسم ربك تبتل إليه تبتيلا رب المشرق والمغرب لا إله إلا هو فاتخذه وكيلا واصبر على ما يقولون واهجرهم هجرا جميلا وذرني والمكذبين أولي النعمة مهلهم قليلا إنا لدينا أنكالا وجحيما وطعاما ذا غصة وعذابا أليما يوم ترجف الأرض والجبال وكانت الجبال كثيبا مهيلا إنا أرسلنا إليكم رسولا شاهدا عليكم كما أرسلنا إلى فرعون رسولا فعصى فرعون الرسول فأخذناهم أخذا وبيلا فكيف تتقون إن كفرتم يوما يجعل الولدان شيبا السماء منفطر به كان وعده مفعولا إن هذه تذكرة فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه سبيلا إن ربك يعلم أنك تقوم أدنى من ثلث الليل ونصفه وثلثه وطائفة من الذين معك والله يقدر الليل والنهار علم أن لن تحصوه فتاب عليكم فاقرؤوا ما تيسر من القرآن علم أن سيكون منكم مرضى وآخرون يضربون في الأرض يبتغون من فضل الله وآخرون يقاتلون في سبيل الله فاقرؤوا ما تيسر منه وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة واقرضوا الله قرضا حسنا وما تقدموا لأنفسكم من خير تجده عند الله هو خيرا وأعظم أجرا واستغفروا الله إن الله غفور رحيم صدق الله العلي العظيم صدق رسول الكريم والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء وبقوتك التي قهرت بها كل شيء وخضع لها كل شيء وضل لها كل شيء، وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء، وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء، وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء، وبسلطانك الذي على كل شيء، وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء، وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء، وبعلمك الذي أحاط بكل شيء، وبنور وجهك الذي أضاء له كل شيء، يا نور يا قدوس يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تهتك العصام، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النقم، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعام، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء، اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء، اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبت وكل خطيئة أخطأتها. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك واستشفع بك إلى نفسك، وأسألك بجودك أن تدنيني من قربك، وأن توزعني شكرك، وأن تلهمني ذكرك. اللهم إني أسألك سؤال خاضع متذلل خاشع أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راض قانعا، وفي جميع الأحوال متواضعا. اللهم وأسألك سؤال من اشتدت فاقته وأنزل بك عند الشدائد حاجته وعظم فيما عندك رغبته. اللهم عظم سلطانك وعلى مكانك وخفي مكرك وظهر أمرك وغلب قهرك وجرت قدرتك ولا يمكن الفرار من حكومتك. اللهم لا أجد لذنوبي غافرا ولا لقبائحي ساترا ولا لشيء من عملي القبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك وبحمدك ظلمت نفسي وتجرأت بجهلي وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي. اللهم ومولاي كم من قبيح سترته وكم من فاده من البلايا كلته وكم من عثار وقيته وكم من مكروه دفعته وكم من ثناء جميل لست أهلا له نشرته. اللهم عظم بلائي وافرط بي سوء حالي وقصرت بي أعمالي وخدعت بي أغلالي وحبسني النفع بعد عملي وخدعتني الدنيا بغرورها ونفسي بخيانتها ومثالي. يا سيدي فأسألك بعزتك أن لا يحجب عنك دعائي سوء عملي وفعالي ولا تفضحني بخفي ما اطلعت عليه من سري ولا تعاجلني بالعقوبة على ما عملته في خلواتي من سوء فعلي وإساءتي ودوام تفريطي وجهالتي وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي. وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في كل الأحوال رؤوفا وعلي في جميع الأمور عطوفا. إلهي وربي من لي غيرك أسأله كشف ضري والنظر في أمري. إلهي ومولاي أجريت علي حكما اتبعت فيه هوى نفسي ولم أحترس فيه من تزيين عدوي فغرني بما أهوى وأسعده على ذلك القضاء فتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعد حدودك وخالفت بعد أوامرك. فلك الحمد علي في جميع ذلك ولا حجة لي فيما جرى علي فيه قضاؤك وألزمني حكمك وبلاؤك. وقد أتيتك يا إلهي بعد تقصيري وإسرافي على نفسه معتذرا نادما منكسرا مستقيلا مستغفرا منيبا مقرا مذعنا معترفا لا أجد مفرا مما كان مني ولا مفزع نتوجه إليه في أمري غير قبولك عذري وإدخالك إياي في سعة من رحمتك. اللهم فاقبل عذري وارحم شدة ضري وفكني من شد وثاكي. يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني ورقة جلدي ودقة عظمي، ويا من بدا خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتغذيتي هبني لابتداء كرمك والثالثي برك بي. يا إلهي وسيدي وربي، أتراك معذبي بنارك بعد توحيدك وبعد ما انطوى عليه قلبي من معرفتك ولهج به لساني من ذكرك واعتقده ضميري من حبك، وبعد صدق اعترافي ودعائي خاضعا لربوبيتك. هيهات، أنت أكرم من أن تضيع من ربيته أو تبعد من أدنيته أو تشرد من آويته أو تسلم إلى البلاء من كفيته ورحمته. وليت شعري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي تسلط النار على وجوه خرت لعظمتك ساجدة وعلى ألسن نطقت بتوحيدك صادقا وبشكرك مادهة وعلى قلوب اعترفت بإلهيتك محققة وعلى زمائر حوت من العلم بك حتى صارت خاشعة وعلى جوارح سعت إلى أوتان تعبدك طاية وأشارت باستغفارك مذعنة. ما هكذا الظن بك ولا أخبرنا بفضلك عنك يا كريم يا ربي، وأنت تعلم ضعفي عن قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها، على أن ذلك بلاء ومكروه قليل مكثو يسير بقاؤه قصير مدته. فكيف احتمال بلاء الآخرة وجليل وقوع المكاره فيها وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مقامه ولا يخفف عن أهله، لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك وانتقامك وسخطك، وهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض. يا سيدي، فكيف لي وأنا عبدك الضعيف الذليل الحكير المسكين المستكين؟ يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي، لأي الأمور إليك أشكو ولما منها أضج وأبكي ليليم العذاب وشدتي أم لطول البلاء ومدتي؟ فلئن صيرتني للعقوبات مع أعدائك وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك فهبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي. صبرت على عذابك فكيف أصبر على فراقك؟ وهبني صبرت على حر نارك فكيف أصبر عن النظر إلى كرامتك؟ أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجاء عفوك؟ فبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا لئن تركتني ناطقا لأضجن إليك بين أهلها ضجيج الآملين ولأصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين ولأبكين عليك بكاء الفاكدين ولأنادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين، يا غاية آمال العارفين، يا غياث المستغيثين، يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين، ويا إله العالمين. أفتراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك تسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفته وذاك تعمى عذابها بمعصيته وحبس بين أطباقها بجرمه وجريرته وهو يضج إليك ضجيجا مؤمل لرحمتك ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك ويتوسل إليك بربوبيتك. يا مولاي، فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك؟ أم كيف تؤلمه النار وهو يأمل فضلك ورحمتك؟ أم كيف يحرقه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوتا وترى مكانه أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفه أم كيف يتقلقل بين أطباقها وأنت تعلم صدقه أم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا رباه أم كيف يرجو فضلك في عتقه منها فتتركه فيها هيهات ما ذلك الظن بك ولا المعروف من فضلك ولا مشبه لما آملت به الموحدين من برك وإحسانك فباليقين يعتو لولا ما حكمت به من تعذيب جاهديك وقضيت به من إخلاد معانديك لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما وما كان لأحد فيها مقر ولا مقاما لكنك تقدست أسماؤك أقسمت أن تملها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين وأن تجلت ثناؤك قلت مبتدئا وتطولت بالإنعام متكرما أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون إلهي وسيدي فأسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي حتمتها وحكمته وغلبت من عليه أجريته أن تهب لي في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمت وكل ذنب أذنبته وكل قبيح أسررت وكل جهل عملته كتمته أو أعلنته أخفيت أو أظهرت وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظه ما يكون مني وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جوارحي وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم والشاهد لما خفي عنهم وبرحمتك أخفيته وبفضلك سترته وأن توفر حظي من كل خير أنزلته أو إحسان فضلته أو بر نشرت أو بر نشرته أو بر تنشر أو رزق تبسطه أو ذنب تغفره أو خطاء تستره يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا إلهي والسيد ومولاي ومالك رقي يا من بيده ناصيتي يا عليما بذر مسكنتي يا خبيرا بفقر وفاقتي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب أسألك بحقك وقدسك وعظم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقاتي من الليل والنهار بذكرك معمورة وبخدمتك موصولة وأعمالي عندك مقبولة حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا وحالي في خدمتك صرمدا يا سيدي يا من عليه معولي يا من إليه شكوت أحوالي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب قوي على خدمتك جوارحي واشدد على العزيمة جواني وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك حتى أسرح إليك في ميادين السابقين وأسرع إليك في المبادرين واشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين وأدنو منك دنو المخلصين وخافك مخافة الموقنين واجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين اللهم من أرادني بسوء فارد ومن كادني فكد واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نصيبا عندك وأقربهم منزلة منك وخصهم زلفة لديك فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك وجد لي بجودك واعطف علي بمجدك واحفظني برحمتك واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجا وقلبي بحبك متيما، ومن علي بحسن إجابتك، وأقلني عثرتي واغفر ذلتي، فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك، وأمرتهم بدعائك وضمنت لهم الإجابة. فإليك يا ربي نسبت وجهي، وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي، فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي وبلغني منايا، ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي، واكفني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي. يا سريع الرضا اغفر لي لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء، فإنك فعال لما تشاء، يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء وتعت غنى. ارحم من رأس ماله الرجاء وسلاحه البقاء، يا سابغ النعم، يا دافع النقام، يا نور المستوحشين في الظلم، يا عالما لا يعلم. صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بي ما أنت أهله، وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة.
Sayyid Hasan, respected elders, brothers and sisters in Iman, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Surah Al-Fatiha is requested for all marhumin listed on the screen as well as all other marhumin. Surah Al-Fatiha. Dua Shafai Mariz is requested for all those in need here and elsewhere, as well as those listed on the screen. Let us recite together. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma yujibul mustarri iza da'ahu yakshifu su. Amma yujibul mustarri iza da'ahu yakshifu su. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف السوء. Seniors Committee is inviting all the seniors to an exciting program, Chalo Movie, to bring back memories from the Daytona days. Delicious dinner, thereafter chai and baraza over the fire pits. Please, all seniors register online or contact Shabir Jamal in the gents and Sajda Tejani or Masma Balwani in the ladies. Let us come together to honor our beloved Bibi Fatima this ayam. This time we do it by learning more about Our Lady of Light. The events team has organized a quiz on Bibi Fatima's life. Take the quiz, take the challenge, do the quiz, and win a prize. The quiz is $5 and all proceeds will go to Project Orange. The quiz will be on sale from December 8th to December 27th. You will have to submit it before or by December 27th. Let us now invite Sayyid Hasan Rizvi to please come forward and recite tonight's Majalis. Bar Muhammadul Wa'ali Muhammad, Salawat.
محمد وآل محمد
صل على محمد وآل محمد. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة بعد الصلوات. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Mu'mineen, mu'minat, brothers and sisters in Islam and Iman, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So there's no questions on Slido, so we'll jump right into our topic, inshallah. And I think I will cut down some of it as well tonight. Number one, because there's a program happening after here. And number two, that it seems like we're a little light on attendance today. And I think it's maybe because anything health-related scares away the crowds. That's what it seems like. We've been talking about the concept of ihsan. And Allah in the Quran says, we need to do ihsan in the same way Allah has done ihsan to us. So we've been trying to go through, examine what is this concept, what are the examples, how does Allah use it in the Quran. Where we left off were the ayat where Allah has mentioned that the greatest type of ihsan that has been done is to insan, human beings. So we started going through all the different qualities that human beings possess, which give us that superiority over all other creations. We talked about how even though we are made from dirt, from clay, from the lowest, we have been given the highest potentials possible, higher than any other creation. We also talked about last week, this idea of taskhir, of control, and that we have a specific level of control that no other creature can engage in. And things in the universe, in the cosmos, are designed for our usage, to be subservient to us. Inshallah, what we will talk about today, or tonight, is the next quality that we possess, which gives us our superiority, which is the quality of idrak, which can sometimes be translated as awareness, cognizance, or if you want to be very literal about it, the word idrak comes from dark. Dark in both Farsi, even in Urdu sometimes, and obviously in Arabic, means when something has been reached, something has been attained. So idrak is attaining something, right? You're getting to some sort of end goal. So what we'll first do is look at an ayah of Quran, and we will go from there. So we'll first look at Surah Al-Nahl, Surah 16, ayah 78. If you can recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. In this ayah, Allah says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Wallahu akhrajakum min butuni ummahatikum. Allah has taken you out of the wombs of your mothers, la ta'lamuna shay'a, in a state where you had no ilm whatsoever. You knew nothing. We came from our mothers, we were born as a blank slate. وَجَعَلَ لَكُمَ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ. And we have placed for you, we've given you sam', hearing, we've given you absar, vision, sight, and af'ida. Af'ida, plural of fu'ad, meaning heart, but in this context it means intellect or intelligence. And why? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. So that you can do shukr and be thankful. Now, what do all of these things have to do with one another? So, sometimes, we're in the habit of either getting gifts or receiving gifts. Let me share a story from when I was a kid. I can't remember, maybe 9, 10 years old, something like that. I was really into remote control cars. So, birthday party, and all my friends knew, my mom, my dad, they knew exactly, what I was interested in, what I wanted. So I had a birthday party, it comes time at the end of the party, I'm opening all the gifts up. One thing from somebody, it's like some clothing, a sweater or something. I'm like, thank you, but I toss that aside. Who wants clothes for their birthday when you're a kid? Then there's some other random things, like, I got a football, which is cool. It's not what I wanted, but okay, I can use that, fine. And some other random things, this is cool, maybe whatever. And then finally, I open up a toy from somebody, and it's this giant remote control car. I was like, all right, this is awesome. This is exactly what I wanted. So, of course, now I was allowed to. I asked him, can I open up the stuff? Yeah, open it up right away and play with it. So I rip open everything, grab the controller, turn it on, and I'm trying. Alaykum salam. I'm trying, and it's not going. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm flipping the switch and everything, and I'm checking. I'm like, it's not working. And then I open up the remote control. I see the back. I'm like, oh, there's no batteries. I check the actual car. There's no batteries there. I'm like, maybe it's somewhere in the package. I look over there. It's not there either. And why? It's because most of the things you buy, it says right in the front, batteries not included. You get this thing and you're waiting all this time and this zulm happens to you. And what a mazloom I was then. Right? All I wanted to do was play and now I can't. So what I should have been happy about, now I'm upset. Right? So whatever shukr I would have done, thank you, mom, dad, thank you so much. Now I'm basically, I was like, you ruined my life. Because now there's no batteries in the house. Obviously, who has spare batteries? Or the batteries we do have are all 1% charged anyway. So then you have to ask your parents, can you go out and buy batteries? Well, right now I'm busy, I can't do that. So you have this toy sitting there that's unusable. And there's a whole continuation of this, right? The first time I got a video game system, I think the first one I got was probably Genesis, a Sega Genesis. This is showing my age. Even then, I open it up and everything that's there was no controllers with it and no games. Like when they first sold systems, they didn't put everything there. So I got the system, I was excited, and nothing's included. I'm like, this is a waste, right? So all this excitement is gone. And this person who's trying to do something nice for you, because 1%, one little thing and accessory is lacking, it ruins everything. So the point is what? Is Allah, in giving gifts, if we have this taskhir and this control, we have free will and this idea of morality, we have power, and there's a day of judgment. What is the point of all of this if we don't have the tools necessary to make the right decisions? And in fact, most people, this is a common atheistic argument. They say, God, if so-and-so God exists, they say, God did not give us the tools to find out that He's real. So, if there is a God, I will come to Him on this day of judgment, and if He's about to put me in hell, I'll say, Na'udhu billah, God, how dare you? You didn't give me the tools, you didn't show me the proofs to believe that you exist, so what you're doing is unjust. And then the atheist will continue and say, so if that's an unjust God, what's the point of worshiping Him in the first place? Of course, every single point of that argument is trash, but that's not my point to go through with it. But their line of reasoning is correct, meaning God has to provide us the tools. He has to give us hidayat. In this sense, that's why Allah's laying out over here, I am giving you the tools necessary. When I'm saying I provide hidayat, when I'm saying that I exist and there's a reality that you can understand, I'm not just saying it haphazardly. I'm giving you every single tool and multiple tools, different types of tools and levels of tools that you can use to understand everything. So let's go through these 3 different tools that he mentions here. Inshallah, if you can recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So there are 3 tools that are mentioned in this ayah, and you'll find these in many ayat of the Quran. It's sam', absar or basar, and af'ida or fu'ad. So hearing, seeing, and intelligence. So again, af'ida is the plural of fu'ad. Fu'ad normally is translated as, or means heart. But in these meanings, it means some sort of intuition, intelligence, or a deeper understanding. So Allah is saying, look, I gave you the power to hear. That's one way you can understand. I gave you the power of sight. That's another way you can understand things. And I gave you your heart, which is another way of understanding. These are 3 types of tools that you have available, so you have no excuses. And لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, so that you can do shukr and say thank you after all of this. Meaning, thank you Allah, you've given me these tools so I can understand what is right, what is wrong, and I know how to make the best decision possible in my life. Now, some people when they look in these kind of ayat, they try to figure out if there's some sort of, logical order to this. Why is hearing mentioned before sight and then heart at the end? So some will talk about the idea of, Allah's talking about maybe the strength. Say, because you hear something, then you see something, and then it comes to your heart afterwards. And somebody, usually non-Muslims, would object. They said, no, that's not the case at all. You don't hear first and then see and then understand afterwards. They said, the first two ones, there's a problem right there. Do you hear something first or do you see it first? What travels faster, sound or light? Light travels faster than sound, right? You see something before you hear it. That's why when you want to know the distance of, when there's lightning, you see the lightning flash, then you hear the thunder later on. And there's a whole system of counting seconds, and it tells you, I think, how many miles away it is or something like that, right? Or, I've never been to a baseball game. For those who have, you'll see, if they hit a home run, you see them hit the ball, and then later you'll hear the crack or the snap, right, of the ball, the bat meeting the ball and hitting it. So you'll see this everywhere, where you see first and then you hear. So some people have objected and said, look, this doesn't make any sense. Why is Allah mentioning it in this order? This is out of order. And then some take it further and say, see, this is proving that the Quran is it's unscientific, and is obviously a person based on a lack of scientific knowledge who's written this. They go down this rabbit hole. I say, hold on. Allah is probably not talking about order of operations in the way that you're thinking. Maybe He's taking a different perspective. Perhaps, and this is what some Mufassirin talk about. Say, maybe this is not in the order that you think about. Maybe it's in pedagogical order, educational order. Well, what does that mean? How do you and I come to learn things? How does a human being learn and gather new information? If we're talking right from the beginning, when we are, as Allah's mentioning here, when you're in the womb of your mother, are you looking out at the world and understanding what's going on? No. What is it? It's hearing. This is the first type of physical sensory device that you're using. And this is why it's recommended to recite Quran, recite du'as, or have the fetus, that baby, especially when it's after 4 months, it's actually human now, right? Because the soul and the body are one at that point. So at that point, the things that it's hearing are having an effect on its soul. That's why there's all these recommendations that are there, because it's mainly the hearing that's happening. It's only the hearing, actually. Even after the child is born, right? And there's, for those who've been there for the childbirth, usually a child the baby doesn't open its eyes right away either, right? It takes sometimes, a few seconds, sometimes 20 seconds. There's been different studies about how long it takes. And then even then, what is the child seeing? Everything's blurry, right? And they have this whole table of after week 1, what is it able to understand? I think after 1 week, a newborn is able finally to see colors, right? Then afterwards, it can start to make some shapes. And little by little, the distance increases, the focus and precision of sight increases. So that's the second sense, not the first one. So if we're talking about order, Allah got it right over here. I think He knows how creation is done and how learning happens. We learn through hearing first, and then we learn through sight. After those 2 stages, then something can settle into our heart and become part of our knowledge. Or if I want to take it further than that, even when it comes to the way you want to impart knowledge, even when somebody has hearing and has sight, you might even think, people love to talk about PowerPoint slides, show kids visuals, that's the best way to teach them. But if you look at, in child developmental psychology, they say, no, it's actually the auditory sense which is more powerful than, seeing. And this method of teaching is actually called audition first. And when you're teaching a child to recognize objects or understand things, learn new words or concepts, they say what you need to do is make them hear the concept first, hear the thing first. So if you want them to learn about shapes, say the word. You want to learn about the color, say the word and mention characteristics. After that, then you show them. Even if you read a child a book, they say that some psychologists, what they say is mention what's about to happen on the next page before you turn the page. This is how you get them ready for expectation. You know how children usually are very apprehensive about new things, right? You take them to somebody's house, you take them to the doctor's or a new place, and they get freaked out, rightfully so. They're not used to change. One of the ways that you can get them prepped is to make them hear it first. You tell them a story. Hey, guess what? Next week, we are going to visit your mamu or chachu or dadi or whatever, next week. And what you're going to see there, they have a big brown door. And when we walk through the door, you're going to see this and X, Y, Z. You paint the picture for them. And that's how they prep themselves. And then you do this, day by day. They say, oh, guess what? Remember tomorrow where are we going? And they should be able to repeat it back to you, right, to some degree. Then when they finally get there, it's not brand new for them, right? They prep themselves for this. They've created that sort of mind map, as you say. So when they walk through now, because they've heard everything, now their visual perceptions is kind of ready for that intake and that input. And this is the way that, some people recommend that you teach your children. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Even if we're going to talk about order of operation, we can even respond to those, people who are objecting first and say, there actually are some studies where if we're talking about reaction, right, and they've looked at athletes, they say athletes, or anybody whose senses are heightened, what do they react to first? Hearing or seeing? And most studies show it's hearing, right? When you hear, let's say, a loud crash or a bang, it's your body reacts to the sound first rather than the actual sight. So I think they looked at different athletes in basketball, football, soccer, etc. And they're hearing, let's say, a strike or a dribble or a pass. The sound is what they react to, not the visual thing that they're seeing. Because they say that it's actually, you can hear the auditory perception is actually better and stronger than seeing, according to some, at least. Not everybody, but according to some. So what some coaches do is they train the auditory senses rather than visual senses, rather than somebody's sight. And this is how they're able to increase the reaction time for their athletes, right, or for other individuals. In fact, I think this is how they train Secret Service, if I'm not mistaken, too, is they get them used to hearing, bangs, a lot. You know how in horror movies, I don't like horror movies, and I'm not encouraging you to watch them, but normally, it's not the thing that you're seeing that scares you. It's the increase in sound, right? The out of nowhere, boom, the loud sound that happens. That's what actually gets you to jump out of your seat, right? It's called a jump scare. When the jump scare happens, it's the people who are in the audio booth. They know how to do that. A good movie or a good video is usually accompanied by a good soundtrack. They know when to increase the volume, when to decrease the volume, because that has an effect on our mind and our body and our soul. And there's a lot to say there, but I just want to get that across that even if we're taking that order of operation perspective, the sight, hearing has a lot more power, according to some, than our actual visual perception. Some might even argue that it's a better sensory tool than seeing actually is. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And of course, the other thing that we think about here is that once we hear something, when we see something, when it attaches to our heart, all of these things, in another sense, are things that we're going to be questioned about too. All of these senses are different spiritual inputs as well. Right? There's a huge discussion in the books of philosophy of the relationship between our soul, our spirit, our nafs, ruh, whatever you want to say, and the physical senses. And they say for every physical sense, there is a spiritual sense too. And in fact, the physical senses are just tools. They're preparatory tools to immediately or eventually give the information to our nafs and our soul. That's actually the process that happens. A lot of people, they end up just breaking things down into physical perspectives. But the philosophers, the U.S.A, they say, no, these things have to be explained from a metaphysical perspective. Why does something have an effect on your soul? Well, it's something is physically heard or seen or touched or tasted or smelt, then that helps the soul understand or become united with a piece of information, and that's when the soul ends up changing and having an effect, or our wujud, or our existence, reacts to it in that way. It's a larger discussion in the books of metaphysics. And this is where we have many riwayat which comment on these ayat, right? So ayah, Surah 17, which I believe is Surah Al-Isra, ayah 36, where Allah says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna as-sam'a wal-basara wal-fu'ada kullu ula'ika kana anhu mas'ula. That the beginning is وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ الْعِلْمِ. So don't go after and pursue things that you don't have ilm, you don't have knowledge about them. Remember that your hearing, the basar, your sight, and your heart, the fu'ad, your intelligence, all of these things are mas'ul. They will be questioned. They're responsible. So everything that's being inputted, we're going to be questioned about this. And somebody had asked Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, regarding this ayah, and he said, Yus'alu sam'a amma sam'a, that the ears, right, your hearing will be questioned about everything that was input, everything that it heard. Wal basar amma nadhara ilay. Your basar, your eyes, your sight will be questioned about everything that it was, put in front of it, everything that it looked at. Wal fu'ad amma aqida alay. And the heart will be asked about everything that it made an aqd regarding. Everything that it was tied around, everything that it made a decision regarding. So, this is going a bit deeper into what the fu'ad or the heart actually means. And inshallah, maybe we can continue with this point next week. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ahl baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Let's move on to our Slido quiz for tonight, inshallah. So, assalamu alaikum to everybody. The Mandalorian, it's nice to see somebody who's a Star Wars fan once. KSI 313, legit, Labaik Ya Imam. I don't know how many people we're going to get tonight. SS. Maybe wait another few seconds and we can start. So, Sakina, legit, RJ, specialists. Health Queen, Muhammad Abbas, Imam. We got 12 right now. 13, who just joined? Rosa. 14, who's the 14th? SSSMF. Oh, and On. Okay, I think that's good. We can get started, inshallah. Good luck to everybody. When washing a rug or clothing, if you're washing it directly from a tap, shower or hose, i.e. cold water, then after removing the aynun najasa and then washing it once, it must be wrung or squeezed how many times? No times, once, twice, or 3 times. So imagine something like your rug or a piece of clothing gets najis, so you run it under the tap to get it clean, right? So after the aynun najasa's gone, you wash it. How many times do you have to wring it? Most of you got this wrong. It is 0. So Ayatul Sistani says, no, you don't have to wring it out. If it's cold water and tap water, or that water that's coming out of a tap or a hose, whatever, is considered kur, so you don't have to wring it out, wash it. If the water passes over, it's fine, right? And that's it. Which of these are not names of Allah mentioned in the Quran? Ash-Shukr, Ash-Shakur, Ash-Shakir, or no? This is a trick question, and all of these names are mentioned in the Quran. This is a question from last week, so let's see how many of you have remembered and paid attention. Okay, I guess not enough. So, Ash-Shukr is not a name of Allah at all. Yeah. According to many ayat, what tools have been gifted to us to increase our knowledge? Hearing, seeing, and understanding, all 5 physical senses, the aql, intellect, or divine scriptures and prophets, alayhimus salatu wassalam. Which tools have been given so that we can give thanks to Allah, right, to increase our understanding? Okay, we just mentioned it in this whole lecture. We talk about sam', basar, and fu'ad, right? Hearing, seeing, and understanding through the intellect. Yeah, it's a good thing I cut it short tonight, huh? And last question. What is the capital city of Slovenia? And I'm not going to bother trying to pronounce any of these cities, so good luck. And I could have looked it up, but I didn't have time, so. How do you guys get this one right? You guys are cheaters, that's all I know. I can't do any husn dhan and give you the benefit of that. I think you're cheaters. Most of you got it wrong anyway. Okay, specialist, 3 out of 4, 37 seconds. Really fast, not bad. Truth seeker, also 3 out of 4, almost double in terms of time. Labaik Ya Imam, Muhammad Abbas and Imam, all 2 out of 4. and under 45 seconds. So the hardest question was the fiqh question, which means I guess we'll have to increase some of that, inshallah. Okay, so good luck if you guys are going to take the medical exams. Good luck with that. Inshallah, hopefully we pay attention and we benefit from the information that's about to be given, and we recognize that in order to gain spiritual health, we have to recognize and understand our physical health as well. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ahli baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.
Assalamu alaikum. So my name is Dr. Faisal. I'm a board certified family physician. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Pretty good? Hello? Yeah, sorry. It's kind of difficult. Okay. All right, that's better. All right, let's do this over again. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Faisal. I'm a board certified family physician here in Central Florida. First and foremost, I'd like to thank HIC and its committee and USRA for inviting me this evening and giving me the opportunity to talk about one of my favorite topics on natural health and wellness. I chose this topic because I felt that this topic has been trending since the past 2 years post-COVID pandemic. The year 2023 is around the corner, and that's when I usually see my patients make New Year's resolutions and make changes such as losing more weight, quitting smoking, or eating healthier. So I'm hoping, inshallah, after this lecture, we start making these changes from tomorrow. I have to stress that this presentation is for informational and educational purposes only. It's not medical advice, so any consultation, please seek your PCP or primary care physician if you have any questions or doubts regarding your health. I have to disclose that I'm also the co-founder and medical advisory board of the World Hijama Foundation and also the co-founder of Multicare Physicians, which is a private clinic here in Lake Mary. So who is my greatest influence? This is an obituary of more than 6 pages written by a news organization in Bangalore, India, after the passing of this revered Hakim. My wife, she helped me translate a few excerpts from these pages, which I will share with you in Urdu. And it goes like this. The name of his father is Hakim Ahmad Ali Sahab. Hakim Abdul Wahab Zuhuri's place of birth is Orangi, Bangalore. In 1920, his father passed away at the age of 2, and his older brother Hakim Muhammad Abdul Salam took care of him and his education. In 1929, he started his journey in Eastern medicine in Jamia Arabia Darul Salam, Umar Abad, where he learned about Egyptian literature and modern Arabic literature in Farsi. In 1940, he got his degree of Ufzal Ulama in Alim School. In the 1970s, he was the former principal of Nizamiya Tibbi Medical College, India, Hyderabad. So throughout his distinguished career, he dedicated himself to the Unani system of medicine, which is the theoretical framework which is based on the teachings of Hippocrates, who is considered to be the father of Western medicine, and Galen, the Roman physician. This system was subsequently developed into a comprehensive healthcare system by Arabic physicians, especially Ibn Sina, known as Avicenna, the predominant philosopher and physician of the Islamic world. His life's work before his passing was that he compiled and published a book on history of Unani medicine running into several thousands of pages in Urdu. Hakim Abdul Wahab Zuhri was recognized as the foremost researcher in the field of Unani medicine, and his books remain in print in India and other parts of the world, where his research articles have been translated into English and has been published in the medical journals in England. This may look familiar to some of you. When I was a child, I had severe respiratory allergies and asthma, always getting sick and going to the hospital. I remember my grandfather would bring out his little diary book and tell me of a herbal formula that he could cure me. He used to have my dad order the syrup called Joshanda and a product called Hamdard from a famous dawakhana in Unani clinic in India. But all I remember was that it was very sweet and tasty. I just wanted to get to feeling better, and yes, it worked. Does anyone know what Joshanda is? It's all in the supermarkets these days. So my parents are from India, Hyderabad, moved to Florida in 1984, where I was raised in Deltona. Growing up as a child, I still remember my grandfather, who at that time, I just knew him as Dadaba, right? Not knowing his medical background, as he was an acclaimed Hakim Abdul Wahab Zuhri. And I still have fond memories of my childhood about my Dadaba's lifestyle, his work ethic, and even as an old retired principal and researcher, which has influenced me indirectly to this day. Growing up around him, he was known to be very strict and military-like with his diet and exercise regime. I thought that was because he was a type 1 diabetic and always had a very routine lifestyle, waking up early in the morning, reading Fajr, injecting his morning dose of insulin into his belly prior to each meal. He would fill his stomach a third for food, drink, and air. And lastly, he would do this regularly. He would take 45-minute walks every day, right after Asr, and return right before sunset so that he could read Maghrib in Jamaat. I remember when I was married at my walima on stage, I read a poem he had written from his book of Urdu Shairi poetry. The collections of poems was named Wa Shiraza Akhtar, or Afkar. He was a great man of many talents. During the last 10 years of my grandfather's life, he suffered from end-stage Alzheimer's disease and lived to the age of 93. May Allah's mercy and blessings be upon him. Next to my dada is my dad and my chacha. With my dad here, and he's seeing this picture, he would say to me, I look like your son, you know? Just the way that I look right now. I graduated here from Central Florida at Trinity Prep, Winter Park, and I went straight into medical school in a 5-year program in the United Arab Emirates called Gulf Medical University. I lived in the Emirates for about 7 years, so from the age of 18 years to the age of 23 years of age, and in my final year of internship, I worked at different government hospitals in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Sharjah. After graduating, I then moved into the US to give my USMLE exams and completed my residency at the University of Louisville, which was in Kentucky in 2013. My first job after residency, I was working in urgent care just outside of the cornfields of Kentucky. And that's where my journey started in understanding diseases from a community perspective. I would literally see 60 to 80 patients a day in a day. I saw a whole lot of obesity and diabetes. And this was mainly in Kentucky. It had a lot of similarities of the population in the United Arab Emirates where I had lived previously. After a year of working in the urgent care, I then shifted careers and I became a full-time traveling locums hospitalist. And this literally took me on a journey traveling for several years, working for various hospital organizations in Nebraska, Kentucky, Indiana, Iowa, Arkansas, and then finally Florida. In 2015, I finally settled back home to Lake Mary, Florida, and formed a clinic and joined forces with my wife, Dr. Anam, my sister, Dr. Javeria, and my brother-in-law, Dr. Abdul Khayyum, called Multi-Care Physicians. As a hospitalist, I was tired, or you could say bored, of seeing chronic illnesses and chronic diseases all the time. I wanted to see more of the healthier populations of patients where I could focus more on educating patients before the onset of disease. I wanted my patients to be in full control of their health and take full responsibility of their actions. I was sick of the non-compliant patients. I always preach and teach on being conscious on healthy eating and having more natural options for prevention of diseases. So the motto is, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. And prevention is always better than cure. This was the vision and reason for multi-care wellness, to lead people to better health and preventive disease. So I graduated high school from Trinity Prep. So I have treated many ethnic communities, Hispanic to African American to Asian to Arabs, and all had one common denominator for developing disease. It wasn't only genetic factors that caused disease, but it was an external lifestyle factor that were the main source leading to disease. Majority of my patients had already developed symptoms such as high blood pressure, heart disease, chronic inflammation, type 2 diabetes, cancer. Most physicians, we just treat symptoms and put a Band-Aid on them and give pharmaceutical medications and not understanding the underlying causes of diseases. I know this because I too was one of them, and still am, until I started to retrain what I had previously learned. Looking at my grandfather's life, he dedicated his whole life's career to Unani medicine. So there had to be some truth to it. Through various mentors and education, I had to relearn medicine with a different perspective in treating the patient as a whole. Treating the root cause is very important to treating any disease. That is the core basis of functional medicine. We look at environmental factors such as exposure to chemicals, molds, stress, lack of exercise, and much more. Some call it lifestyle medicine. This is and should be the doctor of the future. Mainstream medicine is something of the past, and after COVID-19 pandemic, more and more physicians are treating patients in a holistic way, and they look at everything as a whole, not just treating symptoms. Okay, now that we have gotten into the intro, and that's out of the way, let's go down to our main topic for this evening. I hope you all are awake and ready. So this is where I would like for you to pay attention and take notes if you can. And I'll kind of point out key points, and I'll be quick about it. So I'm just getting warmed up. What do Americans eat? When looking at this slide, just ask yourself, which picture consists of your average diet? Just be honest. Is it one of the extremes to the top left, or is it a balance of everything like the one on the right? This data collected over the past few years is called the Healthy Eating Index score. It's a measure of diet quality used to assess how well a set of food aligns with the key recommendations of the dietary guidelines for Americans. A scale closer to 100 is very good. The average, which this shows from 2013 to 14, was 59, which means there's room for improvement. This snapshot of overall diet quality indicates that average diets of Americans do not meet or conform with dietary recommendations. So what does that truly signify? Each step closer to eating a diet that aligns with the dietary guideline recommendations can help reduce the risk of developing diet-related chronic diseases such as heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and cancer. This was an alarming study by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration showing that the U.S. population did not meet the dietary reference intake for specific nutrients such as calcium. 72% of the U.S. population did not meet this requirement. Look at vitamin E, 85%, zinc, 42%, magnesium, 68%. Okay, this is a very important slide. And I need you to understand this take-home message because a lot of the concepts that I'm going to be talking about all relate to this. The food processing in the U.S. is a system identified by the NOVA classification system, which involves physical, biological, and chemical processes that occur after foods are separated from nature and before they are consumed or used in preparation of dishes and meals. Number 1 and 2 is in green. Unprocessed or minimally processed foods are categorized as being whole foods in which the vitamins and nutrients are still intact. So this is good. The food is in its natural or nearly natural state. Number 4 is the bad one. Ultra-processed foods, such as carbonated soft drinks, has the most harmful effects on health. A cross-sectional study found that the U.S. packaged food beverage supply is very large and generally unhealthy, with a high proportion of ultra-processed foods produced by the top 25 foods and beverage manufacturers. 70.9% of products were found to be ultra-processed. Oh, shoot. How do I go back? Okay. So what are the effects of this ultra-processed food? Studies found that higher consumption of these foods was associated with the increased risk of heart disease, heart attacks, strokes. When you see this colorful slide and you see this picture of the sugary candies, jelly beans, M&Ms, what information does this give you about the food versus these raw, rainbow-like colored vegetables, other than that it's bland? So when you look at food, you should know that there's information behind what you're eating. We should start looking at food as medicine. When you start breaking down food into micronutrients, you will start to appreciate food better. Do these foods contain vitamins, minerals, or nutrients called phytochemicals? You're late, Dr. Ahmed. If any of you have spoken to a nutritionist, you would hear many diets in the market. Which one is the best for you? They each have their benefits, and if I was to recommend a balanced diet, I would choose for my patients a Mediterranean diet that consists of whole food because it's good for your overall health, and it's the most researched diet out there with good clinical outcomes. All right, so this slide here, this is what a Mediterranean diet lifestyle should look like. I know this is a busy slide, but I'm going to guide you here. I want you to look at the foundation of this pyramid, which is at the way bottom. It consists of regular physical activity and adequate rest. In the middle, the very core of the pyramid, consists of everyday polyphenols. If there's a word you want to write down and memorize in Google, this is the one that I want you to write down, polyphenols. Basically, polyphenols are olive oils, nuts, vegetables, fruits, culinary herbs, and spices. Here's a fun fact. We should be consuming at least 1 liter of olive oil a week and 30 grams of nuts daily. And when I say nuts, almonds, okay? And then at least 1 or 2 servings of your white meats and desserts weekly. Mediterranean diet benefits. Studies show that Mediterranean diets can decrease stroke by 39% and also help in memory and cognition. It is also prescribed to help lower blood pressure and improve cholesterol and blood sugars. Eating at least 7 daily portions of fruits and vegetables was linked to 42% lower risk of death from all causes and from cancer. This was a study done. To understand whole food diets a little bit deeper, you have to make sure 80 to 90% of the diet should be unprocessed, additive-free if possible, and organically grown. You should apply both of these, organically grown. Eating cultured and fermented foods, making sure that the water is filtered or it's mineral water that you're drinking. Eating fresh and homemade food when possible. Many of you are from Tanzania, yes? Do any of you know what talbina is? I'm sure you guys have some idea of this food. Did you know that talbina, it's a simple dish and it was enjoyed by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his sahabas? The Prophet loved this dish as a means for curing the sick and to comforting those who have lost loved ones. Talbina is basically barley flour. It's not gluten-free. Some of the ingredients you may find is milk, water, honey, and milk, water, honey, and simple of 1 to 2 teaspoons of 100% whole grain barley flour. Barley can have health benefits and reduce blood sugar and insulin levels, improving cholesterol and promotes regular bowel movements. Aisha radiallahu anhu, may Allah be pleased with her, used to recommend talbina for the sick and for the one who is grieving over a dead person. She, may Allah be pleased with her, used to say, I heard the messenger saying, the talbina gives rest to the heart of the sick person and makes it active and relieves some of his sorrow and grief. Sahih Bukhari. Fermented foods, many health benefits such as antioxidants, antimicrobial, meaning it helps as an antibiotic, antifungal, and they all have anti-inflammatory activities. So some common fermented foods in India you may know as achar, mango achar, lime pickles, nimbu achar, gundruk. In Africa, fruit vinegar, hot pepper sauce, lamoon, makbous, hibiscus seeds. In Asia, in Asia and China, they have something very famous called kimchi. What is the gut microbe? This is where the science is going and the research is going, so we're hearing more and more about this terminology. The gut microbe refers to microorganisms living in your intestines. Each person has about 200 different species of bacteria, viruses, fungi in their digestive tract. Some microorganisms are harmful to our health, but many are incredibly beneficial and even necessary for a healthy body. Some research studies indicates that having a large variety of good bacteria in the gut may help reduce the risk of conditions such as diabetes and colon disease such as Crohn's disease. Kefir. Kefir is made with kefir grain that consists of everything needed to ferment the milk. The biggest nutritional difference between yogurt and kefir is that kefir contains more probiotics than yogurt. In Russia, it is known to help with peptic ulcers in the stomach. So this is very common practice in Russia. Honey is deeply respected in the Islamic medicine as a powerful cure. Honey is nourishing, rich in vitamins, minerals, and amino acids. Also the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, himself took honey medicinally, saying, make use of the two cures, honey and the Quran. In the Journal of Wound Medicine, honey is long known as an antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory when applied on wounds. Okay, everyone loves black tea. Remember that word I told you to memorize and Google? Polyphenols. Okay, polyphenols. When patients ask me, hey doc, what's your favorite type of herbal tea? I tell them it's green tea because it has, just like black tea, it has super powerful antioxidants. And for me, it works better. But yes, this is also very good for the gut microbial bacteria in your gut. Studies show some spices can display prebiotic-like activity by promoting growth of the good bacteria and suppressing the bad bacteria. So spices, Indians, Pakistanis, East Africans, y'all love spices in your food, right? Now you know why your parents and generations before you would tell you to drink doodh and haldi, which is also known as the golden milk. And it's filled with turmeric and good bacteria and good probiotics or prebiotics. Okay, this is my go-to and my favorite of them all. Okay? The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, there is healing in black seed for every disease except death. Black seed, also known as Nigella sativa. In my clinic, I preach so much about this superfood to my patients and family. Black seed is heavily researched for anti-cancer activities, being antioxidant, cardioprotective, anti-diabetic, high blood cholesterol, and the list goes on. There's many research publications on this superfood. Habba soda in Arabic, right? Kalonji in another language. All right, in our body, now sugar. Everyone loves sugar, right? But there's also negative health effects. 70% of our immune system resides in our stomachs, in our guts. We have at least 1 trillion of bacteria and fungi in our gut. Having healthy bacteria is so important to maintain our health and cognitive function, that our gut is often referred to as the second brain or the gut-brain axis. A study conducted by the Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that sugar and soda consumption is consistently associated with increased risk of severe inflammation, such as type 2 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis. Okay. All right, this is important. Many packages, so what type of sugar should my patients eliminate? Many packaged and processed foods contain added sugars and high sodium, as well as preservatives. So these are things that you should eliminate. Cereals, frozen dinners, lunch meats such as turkey, ham, pre-made sauces such as pasta, dressings, ketchup, high fructose corn syrup. What should we substitute this with? Pure maple syrup is considered to be good and healthy. Raw honey, coconut sugar, stevia. Natural sugar alternatives, basically. And those are high in vitamins, so this is what I recommend. All right, if there's one dietary lifestyle I want you to learn from this lecture, is having an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, which consists of anti-inflammatory diets, managing your stress, getting good quality of sleep, mindful eating, exercise, quit smoking, adequate hydration, and yes, having hijama cupping therapy. And I'll tell you why. But you should do the hijama from an early onset because it's more for prevention. Some of the principles of an inflammatory diet diet, some examples have, so some of the principles of an inflammatory diet. Some examples that I'm going to share, just an example of having a veggie omelet with half an avocado for breakfast. You eat protein, healthy fats, and fiber at each meal. Eat lots of dark leafy green veggies and berries like blueberries. Blueberries, I would recommend to everyone. And cook your food with lots of anti-inflammatory spices such with turmeric, ginger, and garlic. Limit trans fats like hot dogs. Okay. Shifting gears a bit now on the topic of nutritional supplementation. When a patient comes in my office and they tell me, "Doc, I'm always feeling tired, I'm always getting sick, or I just don't have the energy these days, or I just can't lose weight, or I'm losing too much weight," I start to wonder if they're having any type of nutrient deficiencies. Top reasons why people take supplements: energy, lack of energy, weight loss, arthritis, colds, flu, diabetes, blood sugar control. The nutrients get delivered through a liquid solution from an IV line. So a lot of my patients, when they have issues with absorption, they prefer this. The IV drip delivers nutrients directly to the bloodstream. Sorry, I was going too fast with my slides. Okay. Some of the reasons IV therapy works better for patients is because of those that are on long-term antacids and that they have a history of any stomach cancers, or they have a history of stomach surgery. So vitamins tend to be less absorbed through oral supplementation. Through the IV, it's 100% absorbed, and it's tailor-made. Okay, regenerative medicine. Regenerative medicine therapies, which I do in the clinic with hijama, stem cell therapy, and platelet-rich therapy, these can help patients heal faster. When the body is unable to heal itself, whether it's due to chronic inflammation or chronic disease, it requires more assistance for repair and regeneration of healthy tissues. I first learned about hijama when I was in medical school in Ajman, in UAE, when I was dealing with a sports injury. Cupping therapy has many uses, and it could be used as a health promotion for wellness or for the management of various diseases and conditions, such as back pain, knee pain, wrist pain, high blood pressure, asthma, and much more. I recently joined forces with a few top research doctors who share the same passion as I do, and we formed a non-profit organization called World Hijama Organization based out in the U.S., the first of its kind. Our vision is being the leading world body in standardization, research, and education in the field of hijama and cupping therapy. And inshallah, this is still a working project in its early stages. Narrated by Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Healing is in three things: cupping, a gulp of honey, or cauterization, branding with fire, but I forbid my followers to use cauterization, branding with fire." Cupping therapy was first mentioned in the famous Egyptian papyrus in 1500 BC. Cupping hijama, which is also known as hijama, was practiced by most civilizations. It was practiced and described by Greek physicians such as Hippocrates and Galen. Unani medicine, Unani means Greek in Arabic, was an Islamic healing system based on Greek medicine theories, which included cupping as one of the main therapies. Cupping is also one of the cornerstones of the Arab and Islamic medicine. Prophetic medicine is another term given to the hadith related information from teachings and sayings which are the hadiths of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Prophetic Medicine Al-Tibbi Al-Nabawi is one of the most famous Islamic books and was written by Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawazi. It mentioned cupping therapy as a medical practice. Ibn Sina, the author of the Canon of Medicine book, reported cupping can treat more than 30 different diseases. Just a bit of history about hijama. I'm almost done. There are 6 documented cupping points mentioned in the sayings of the Prophet. And there's 6 main points that have been documented. These points which were mentioned are used by cupping practitioners, and these points are very popular to be used by cupping practitioners, and also clinical trials are conducted in the Arab world with these cupping points. The next form of natural therapy that I offer patients is called platelet-rich plasma. We use the patient's own blood to help repair or regenerate cartilage and reduce inflammation and promote healthy healing such as hair loss. The process is quite simple, but after an assessment, if I feel the patient's health is good and the patient's blood is healthy enough, he would be a candidate for this procedure. And you can technically inject that to any point of those areas in the body. So stem cell therapy. Stem cells can enhance the body's own ability to heal after an injury. This is where the research in science is going towards. Research studies have shown, depending on the severity of the cartilage loss, it can help repair cartilage in the knees and other areas of the body. Stem cells are the future of medicine, treating issues such as arthritis, chronic back pain, leg pain, ligament tears, meniscal tears. And I'm actually a patient on that picture where I'm getting my thumb injected with stem cells. I actually injured my thumb recently with a ligament tear. So inshallah, I'll find out if it's going to work or not, but the science proves that there's truth to it. In the U.S., we're not so advanced in this field like as Europe, Germany, Israel. They have a lot more research going on. The FDA is a little bit more strict on that matter. And just some credits. Many of the slides I discussed are referenced from a book written by Dr. Elizabeth Rizvi, who is a professor of clinical nutrition and is also on a faculty at the Institute of Functional Medicine where I train. Some of the institutions I'm affiliated with is R3 Stem Cells, where I've trained under Dr. Green. He's a top leading institute of regenerative medicine. I'm currently training for hormone replacement therapy, which I'll be offering services soon, inshallah. I guess that's it. Alhamdulillah, I was able to cover 3 days worth of topics in 30 minutes. So if anyone has any questions, inshallah, I'll be happy to answer any. I hope you guys took some information, in terms of a healthy lifestyle, an anti-inflammatory diet. But with now that medicine is advancing, this is something that we need to start thinking about, and for our kids, especially our kids living here in America. So if we have the knowledge about how food is processed, you'll start thinking about it differently when eating. So inshallah, if anyone, yes, brother?
What exactly is kefir?
Kefir. So kefir, the process, people get confused with kefir and yogurt. The fermentation process is very similar. You need to have both ingredients. It's just basically, how do I say? It's a different process in fermenting, if I'm correct. Dr. Ahmed, do you have an idea how that works? Kefir, how to ferment? It's just the processing is different. It's dairy, it's milk with yogurt, but there's a fermentation process different. You can actually, if you go to one of the Whole Foods, you'll see mango kefir, you'll see different forms of kefir. But they say it has more nutritional value and more probiotics than yogurt, just plain yogurt.
What would you call it in Hindi or Urdu?
Kefir.
I look for it, but honestly I look for it, there is no word
Yes.
Like more khatta, like more sour. So yeah, I mean that's what I personally think. But I would not know the strict what is the constituents of it and all.
Yes.
It's described as the champagne of the deity and it's readily available in public.
Kefir. No, you're thinking of you're thinking of that other. You're thinking of kombucha. Kombucha is that. Kefir is not the. You're saying kefir has wine? No. What did you say, kefir?
It's known as the champagne of the deity.
Oh, it's known as the yes, yeah. But what I was thinking is what you were talking about is called kombucha. That has, I think.
And I actually looked for it to see if there is any alcohol in it, and they did mention it is very great, and I tried to Google it to see the
I have a question. I guess one of the ladies asked, how often do they recommend hijama? So hijama it's like an oil change for your car. Depending on how much mileage your body has, how much wear and tear, you can get it every month, every 3 months, every 6 months. Every person is tailored differently. In my clinic, my patients, I tell them every 1 month to 3 months, depending on if they have risk factors. You know, like there's certain dates that are more preferred than others, and it's based on the lunar calendar, the 17th, 19th, and 21st. This was documented as authentic hadith, that's what the Prophet recommended. You get more benefit from it. So I use those dates as a reference for maintenance. And the reason why is if you understand how the lunar calendar works and how the moon works on the gravitational pull on, let's say, the ocean, right? Right on a full moon, there is this gravitational force and the waves you're getting high tides. Similarly, the human body is about 80% water. So in theory, more toxins are pulled out of the body right after the full moon, and it lies on the same dates, the 17th, 19th, and the 21st of the lunar calendar. SubhanAllah, there's science to even Western medicine. Someone asks, is IV therapy good for someone who is antibiotic resistant? Okay, so the question to understand is, if the sister is asking, IV therapy good for someone who is antibiotic resistant. Now, do you mean nutrient, like vitamin IV therapy? So I'm thinking she's thinking if someone who has antibiotic resistance to a certain like infection. If I understand correctly, that question could be answered in a way where it's not going to hurt you, right? The whole point of having some form of nutrient absorption is so you can build your immune system if you're not able to absorb it. So I can't understand the question a little bit more clear. Yes.
What's your opinion on vegetarian diet? From my reading, I understand that most of the animal proteins are pro-inflammatory.
Most of the?
Animal protein.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion on vegetarian diet?
This is Dr. Abdul Qayyum. He's actually the main specialist when it comes to obesity medicine, but I'm going to have him answer this.
I've researched that personally for myself. According to Sunnah also, like Prophet ﷺ did not eat meat every day. Like that was his choice food. He liked it. He ate it very frequently. Not very frequently, but on rare days. And if you ask me personally, I think try to minimize meat just once a week. Like, the red meat is always like high in the trans fats and all those things. But the other important thing is like the meat here in U.S., I really don't trust that meat in the sense like the hormones, the antibiotics, all those things that go into the meat. Back in India, Pakistan, and they don't use those antibiotics and hormones as much. So that is one of the reasons. I think eating meat probably once a week is a good thing. trying to put more and more meat into your diet is...
And that's what the Mediterranean diet was, you know?
Yeah.
1 to 2 servings a week. White meat, chicken, fish, salmon.
Yes.
Less red meat.
Yes, less red meat. And again, the most important thing for me here is that the genetically modified food, hormones, and these all are like carcinogenic in long period of time. Yeah.
You recommended olive oil. Now, compared to coconut oil, from my reading, coconut oil has more of weak chain triglycerides than the olive oil. So, does the benefits, most of the benefit come from weak chain triglyceride?
Medium chain triglycerides.
Medium chain. And also the purpose of the use of the oil. If you are using to fry something and all, I would not recommend olive oil. There is something called a smoke point of the oil, and there are very few oils that you should use to fry your food. Like, you can't use olive oil to fry. Actually, it's very harmful to fry food in olive oil. Instead, you should use oils that have high smoke point. The most common is the avocado oil. Avocado oil is the best to fry food. You can look on Wikipedia. There is a list of oils that can be used which has high smoke point. Those should be used to fry.
Your question was, is coconut oil better than olive oil?
Yes, sorry. To answer that was like, if you're trying to use just the oil for like salads and all, use olive oil. Coconut oil, if you can use it for frying and all those things. Yeah.
But your question is
Medium
which one
chain.
is better?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it's a balance. They're not harmful, right? Like, if you have to say which one is better, technically you would want both, because of the coconut oil having the medium chain. So I would say just in balance. In balance. Any other question? Yes.
Is hijama covered by insurance?
A lot of what I've been talking about, see, you have to understand, in the West, when you have insurance, it's trained the patient to follow a strict way. When you see a doctor, the doctor has 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and your insurance only covers certain things. All these things I'm talking about is wellness, to where insurance doesn't even recognize stem cell, PRP, cupping. So the quick answer is no, it doesn't. But how long did it take acupuncture to finally be covered by insurance? Many years, right? They had a large committee behind them to, the Chinese and the Eastern medicine they fought their way to get it recognized as science. So we're not there yet. So no, unfortunately, it's not recognized yet. So my goal with this World Hijama organization, there's actually, the top researcher is actually from Egypt, Dr. Shaban, Tamer Shaban. And with him on board, inshallah, I will be able to formulate and conduct research that's recognized in the U.S., inshallah. Yes?
How is hijama different from blood donating?
Very different. So when you're donating blood at the Red Cross, you're donating healthy red blood cells and bad whole blood, you could say, right? In hijama, it's strictly targeting the venous blood, which is, there's no arterial blood in there, no oxygenated blood, all bad blood, right? So you feel less side effects when you donate whole blood. You feel a little tired, right? You feel a little bit sluggish, but the consistency and the quantity is much different. You're not donating 1 liter of blood. If you calculated how much, it's like 20, 30 mLs or cc's of it. So there's a difference on what's being extracted, and if you find the ingredients, whole blood is oxygenated blood.
And I think also it's part of the sunnah, like to be at such certain points, whereas drawing
and
blood is just one.
when you're doing the hijama, it's just superficial light scratches, right? So that's basically the capillary, the lymphatic, the venous aspect of what's being extracted.
So what does hijama really extract from the body?
So when I say toxins, there was a research study. You can look at it on Research Science. The study was the study showed the effects of hijama after the effects of hijama on heavy metal toxicity. For example, heavy metal toxicities in the body. So they did pre and post hijama before the study, and they showed a reduced amount of heavy metals from the body. So the kidneys, the liver, we consider that as the filtration system, right? Where it detoxifies everything and filters out the bad blood. Either you pee it out or you poop it out. Similarly, those toxins are found in the lymphatic system of the body, which is also part of the venous system. So you have to understand what is actually being taken out. There's studies that show that cholesterol is coming out. Basically, any type of toxins you can think of. I'm going to start, inshallah. Yeah, I think the problem right now, and with this hijama cupping organization, is there's been a lot of people who have been trained, online, not many mentors that could teach them and have a standardization of proper hygiene, proper tools, and medical background. And that's kind of where it has a bad name to it, right? So my goal is, inshallah, for communities, you can actually teach your wife, your son, to do it among you guys, but it should be done in a systematic way. But yeah, inshallah, that would be the plan. Yes. Sorry, what was the question?
Stem cells versus?
How do you compare the effectiveness of stem cells with HCT human cellular tissues?
Okay, so what is your understanding of the first thing you said? I understood the second part, the HCT, the human cellular tissue. Like which part of which cells specifically? You mean PRP?
No, not PRP. I think.
You mean PRP? You mean platelet-rich plasma? Like what is the difference between platelet-rich plasma and stem cells? Okay, so platelet-rich plasma is using your own plasma, your own blood, and when it's extracted, we put it in a centrifuge and we spin it. So that plasma is using your own body's...
Let me explain it. The PRP, that's what you saw here, is called platelet-rich plasma. So the blood has a healing power. So one of the blood has a healing power. Like every time you get an injury, at that site, the platelets come and they start a cascade of events which help in the healing, this one. So the idea was to see if we can make a concentrate of the platelets and inject into parts which need regeneration or healing. So that's what we do. We take the blood, we take your own blood, we spin it like 2 times at different speeds, and that gives a concentrated platelets. And then we use that. Initially it was used as something to help with sports injuries, but now they're using for everything, like for hair growth, because it's just a concentrated growth factor. So you use it, you use it in your knees for regeneration, and you can use it in the hair for regeneration, or any aches or pains, sprains, any sports injuries. So that's the concept behind using PRP. Yes. Whereas stem cells, so like when you're born, there are certain cells in your body that differentiates into different organs and all those things. So stem cells are derived. Again, there is the way in which the stem cells are derived. One is from a baby, from this, like the umbilical cord, they get that. And the other there are still some stem cells in your body, in your fat, and all those things, and there is a process by which those stem cells are harvested. Now, I don't know if you were trying to ask, I think Faisal would know that better, which stem cells are better, the ones that are derived from your own body versus one that you take from someone else. So
that's a difference of opinion right now. The research is still, there's pros and cons, Can the stem cells that, if it's derived from your own body, from your fat cells, Can it turn into cancer later on? We don't know. But the stem cells that are from umbilical cord or placental, those are from donated, consented mothers that send their stem cells to the bank. It's filtered, and from that aspect of it, they're basically yes and no. It's more of
there is no clear consensus, but from what I understood, like a straightforward logic that was explained to me was the nascent or the young stem cells are much better than like as you age older, the process of differentiation of your stem cells into the useful cells that you need for decreases. So ones that are obtained from babies and like newborns are much more potent than
they're more stronger
than like people at their old
but they're
age,
safe. I mean, there's no studies that show otherwise.
Yeah, but they're all safe as of now.
I just got a message saying that inshallah I should start wrapping up. Again, I want to thank everyone for your attention. Alhamdulillah, I didn't see anybody leave or fall asleep. So inshallah, we enjoyed coming here, and I got to see some familiar faces that I haven't seen in quite some time. Assalamu alaikum. So inshallah, I'll wrap it up over here. And Brother Husseini, Jazakallah for inviting me and showing me around. Alhamdulillah, this is a very beautiful community. And Junior, inshallah, let me know when that food truck is here. I'll be there, inshallah. All right. Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah, brother. Thank you. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to do this.
Ziyarat. Assalamu alaikum ya Aba Abdullah, Assalamu alaikum ya Ibn Rasulillah, Assalamu alaikum ya Ibn Amir al-Mu'mineen wa Ibn Sayyid al-Wasin, Assalamu alaikum ya Ibn Fatima al-Zahra, Sayyidat Nisa'i al-Alameen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Assalamu alaikum ya Mawla wa Ibn Mawla, Assalamu alaikum ya Gharib al-Ghurba, Assalamu alaikum ya Sultan Abul Hasan Ali ibn Musa Raza wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum ya Sahib al-Zaman. Assalamu alaikum ya Khalifat al-Rahman. Assalamu alaikum ya Sharik al-Quran. Assalamu alaikum ya Maulana Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allahumma kulli walika al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan. صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزقا طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.